Hello Australia, welcome to episode 695 of The Couch. It is a big show today. Let me tell you who's on. We are talking Australian Nursing and Midwifery Conference 21 with our good friend Kath Mazzella, very soon with Nisha. We've got a brand new book by Annie Chandler Cummins. I've got to get that right. It's a brand new book. It's called Rose in the Garden, or A Rose in the Garden. We'll be talking to Annie very, very soon. Stay tuned. What's streaming top 7 on the streaming devices with Paul Elwyn. Stick around for that one. Bitchin', Jen and Chris are here to talk about all the news stories that you're talking about. And later on, What's on Perth with Daniele Fotti Cazzola. Music-wise, we've got Whiskey Jack performing for us, a local artist. Big show. Stick around. The Couch starts now.
It's showtime on the couch. It's showtime on the couch. You can see it from your house. You can see it from your house. It's showtime on the couch with Fred and the best in town. You can see it from your house. Yeah, it's showtime on the couch. Oh, oh, oh.
Fresh out of 3 days of lockdown here in WA, still doing well. Hope you are all around Australia doing well out of lockdown, and I hope all the coronavirus issues are disappearing for you as well around Australia. Thanks for your company. Now it's time to talk to our first guest. We've got a fantastic conference coming up very, very soon in Australia. Nisha's got Kath Mazzella to talk about it more. Over to you.
Wonderful, thank you, Fred. And yes, Kath is a very good friend of The Couch indeed, a gynecological awareness advocate. She's been on The Couch for many years, particularly around International Gynecological Awareness Day and Week, rather. Kath, welcome.
Oh, thank you very much for the opportunity once again.
Kath, you're very passionate because you have your own story, and increasing awareness is challenging in a lot of areas, but particularly with ladies' reproductive areas and systems. We know we don't talk about it as much as we should. Yeah. So what is your message? Tell us.
Well, the message is it's now okay to talk about gynecological reproductive health issues, and there is a lot coming out, but there's still a lot more to be done. And basically, I think the stories need to be told because there's a lot of history with gynecology, and we need to understand the history and then be able to use the stories to be able to move on.
And Kath, your persistence over decades, do you mind sharing just very briefly your story?
Yes, 26 years ago, I actually had my clitoris, vulva and lymph glands removed due to cancer, and I had no idea this happens to women. But when I turned to the women's organisations, it wasn't on the agenda, and quite frankly, it's still not on the agenda. A lot of gynecological health issues. So.
And how did you feel, Kath, when you realised there wasn't much support or understanding in that space?
Oh, it was tragic. It was tragic because I felt quite betrayed that I didn't have the knowledge, but I also felt betrayed because the women quite often ostracised me. So I put an ad in the Women's Day, and the stories that came back, I thought, this is not happening. So that's why I've established the International Gynecological Awareness Day, so we can use the day as a tool to bring out some of the underlying suffering in silence.
And I've just stretched it out as a week on television, so there you go. So really important, we know from a psychological perspective, it's not just the physical element that affects us in any issue in the body, but the reason I asked you that question as well is if we don't have a sense of belonging and there's not a sense of awareness, what is the risk for women out there and their partners and whatnot as well?
Well, the risk is dying. The risk is having lifetime complications that we don't talk about. So we suffer in silence, and it just has to stop. I cannot believe that we live in the world as we do, and we still aren't addressing it how we should be. And it's still run on a male model, and I think it's time we had more of a female focus and sort of shared together with the gynecologist and with the women themselves. And that's why I'm I'm the keynote speaker at the Australian Nursing and Midwifery Conference, which, it's just the icing on the cake for me after all these years. They want to hear the stories.
And it's normally midwives and nurses, a lot of these professional conferences that speak. So to be invited, Kath, because she's a very humble lady, is a huge credit to yourself and the level of knowledge you have in this space and the importance of the topic as well,
Absolutely.
So well done.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Now, you've written a book as well, and Fred's going to be holding it up there to camera, but tell us about the book.
Well, I've had to try and find like a funky, if there's such a word, funky way to sort of get the message across. And it's called If Only I Knew, because I'm trying to give you my knowledge so that what happened to me and the millions of other women, that you can help prevent it from happening to your mother, sister or daughter.
Tell us a bit about how the book's sectioned, because it's quite clever as well.
Yes, well, it's just one of it says, so this bit's the vulva, because most women think the vulva is a vagina. And men don't call their penises testicles, do they? I mean, that would be silly, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So why do we call it a vagina? So that's just, and it's got a diagram in there. Quite often the diagrams are not in these books. So, and it just says, if only I knew more. And it's just about my experience, but in a fun sort of for the younger generation to understand it.
And I have to say, the audience, I've read the book. I think it's exceptional. So very courageous and a story well told.
Thank you.
So absolutely wonderful. Now, at the conference, what will you be speaking about? Actually, what's the theme of the conference? Because that will set the agenda.
Yeah, so the theme is riding the waves of change and forwarding for the future for research and education. But we have research, we have education, but what is missing is the voice and the stories. So, this is all coming together as I had hoped 26 years ago. So hopefully it'll all come together and, the women's organisations will come more on board now through the International Gynae Awareness Day. And I have an Undies for Better Understanding workshop.
I remember those undies. We had them on the show last year, and Fred and I both had photos with those undies. I'll put it on Facebook. And
do that. But it's a lot of fun. We just decorate the undies and, just sort of, because we have bras for breast cancer, what else would you have for gynecology?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love for you to share, I guess, for the audience out there, how to get involved in increasing your awareness, whether you're a female, or I think also really important outside of that, if you're a supporting husband, we might have sisters or, grandmas. It impacts everyone, doesn't it?
Well, it absolutely does. And I always send anybody who wants medical information to the Jean Hales Women's Health in Melbourne, because they do all the evidence-based research. Okay. And so, but I must confess that we need to bring the men into the picture here, because my husband had 5 bypasses 2 years after my operation, because he had to pick the pieces up and he wasn't all that conversant at that stage. So let's bring the men in, let's bring all the women together and the gynecologist and just make it a full package.
I think that holistic approach and recognising, from what I'm hearing, is that it's all interdependent. Yeah, we all have to take care of each other during times like the pandemic, but during everyday life, if we can see the signs and symptoms in each other and ask each other questions.
That's right.
Very helpful.
Very good.
Yeah. Look, where else can people find out more about you? Because I'm sure there's some of the audience that might want to touch base.
My website is kathmazzella.com, and I'm still getting a new International Gynecological Awareness Day website together.
Okay.
So but it's I spoke a couple of years ago to the International Seroptimist Organisation in Kuala Lumpur, where there was 1,000 women there, and people say, this is an ethnic issue, you can't talk about these things because it's ethnic, but they wanted me to talk about these things, so
Well, look, Kath, you're a very courageous and very motivating lady to sit next to and talk to. Keep going, keep fighting the good fight, because you really are.
I'll be back.
Yep, you will be back. You definitely will be. We love having you on the couch.
Okay.
And of course, if you've missed any of that at all, we will have all of Kath's information available on our socials too, on Facebook and through our website. But thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Good luck with the conference, and we'll see you very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so back to you now, Fred.
Thank you very much, Nisha. Kath, it's a very naughty book.
Why is it naughty?
It's
Very
got
good.
naughty pictures in there as well.
Naughty pictures.
But if I can look
thought I
at it
taught
as a
you
man,
well, Fred.
you have. And can I just ask you just a quick one? That conference you're going to?
Yes.
Can people attend that?
Well, it's in Newcastle, so yes.
They can go to that page, can't they?
Yes.
And show interest
Yes.
that you showed us before, can't
But
they?
I'm not sure whether I'm going to get there because of the COVID now.
You will get there. I'm very positive. They
Well, I
need you
hope
there.
so. I hope
And take
so.
some of your books over there.
Okay.
They make fantastic reading.
Yeah.
Keep up the great job.
Okay,
Thank you,
all
Tanisha.
right. Thank you very much.
Somebody else is doing a great job is our music acts here in Australia. In Western Australia, we've got the best of the crop. Whiskey Jack is performing for us centre stage. He's not talking about vaginas today, because we've already done that, but he is talking about spacemen. Here he is.
The sky lights up like the 4th of July as the spaceman makes his entrance. He's the first to arrive, but will he survive the flames of the atmosphere? His Manual supplies, some useless advice like buckle and brace. There's gravity in this place, but don't let it get you down. Don't let it get you down. Don't mind me, I don't land very often. I mostly float through space. If things don't go to plan, is that a problem or just every day? Cause when the rocky touched down, plowing through a golden field, I swear I saw only you. He hiding from the light like the moon in its final phase. From the distance there's smoke, shades darker than your chimney. A truck down a dirt road to make the find of a century. Maybe the only ones left still doing their best. But the crash wheels a crowd and everybody's looking for their piece. Your crew is there, they've come to skew the story like maybe we're not alone in the universe. Maybe we're not alone in the universe. Don't mind me, I don't land very often. I mostly float through space. If things don't go to plan, is that a problem or just every day? Cause when the rocky touched down, plowing through a golden field, I swear I saw only you. He hiding from the light like the moon in its final phase. Galactic dreams bigger than the moonlight. You're always still humming the same tune. He knew every star by name. The spaceman's cheeks were looking pretty blue. He opens his eyes, the spinning continues. He pulls himself together, reads a letter from his lover. It says, don't regret, I'll see you in another life. Don't mind me, I don't land very often. I mostly float through space. If things don't go to plan, is that a problem or just every day? Cause when the rocky touched down, plowing through a golden field, I swear I saw only you. He hiding from the light like the moon in its final phase. Do-do-do, do-do-do.
Thank you very much. That's Whiskey Jack. He'll be back at the end of the show if we have time, hopefully, and we don't run over time. Talking books now with Annie Chandler Cummings. She's a good friend of ours. Welcome back on the couch, Annie.
Thanks very much, Fred.
It is nice to have you back. And boy, have you written out a new book again?
Yes.
This is the new one. I think we've got a graphic on screen of the book, but I'm holding it here today. Tell me about your new book, A Rose in the Garden.
A Rose in the Garden is the third of the flower quartet, the first two being a daisy in the field and a lily in the valley. Mm-hmm. And Rose is Lily's daughter and the mother of Daisy. And the fourth book is A Poppy in the Meadow, and she's Poppy's
That's coming soon, is it?
It is. It has been written, and I'm just doing the last bits before it goes off to the publisher.
How long have you been an author?
Only about 3 years.
So tell us, before being an author, what did you do? How did you get into it?
I always loved to write, and it was a passion, but with being a teacher, a wife, a mother.
You had a lot on.
I had a lot on, yes. So although I did write, I never ever got to finish a book. And it wasn't until my 60th year, and I'm with my current partner in crime.
I thought you were going to say 60th partner.
No, not quite that many.
He's there. He's actually breathing again. Yes. You decided?
And he said, you want to write, you know, give up your permanent position, do relief teaching, and give it a go, because now's the time.
You obviously love it.
I
For those
do.
people at home that have never done it before, I mean, you're a teacher as a background. I know you've worked with SIDE here in Western Australia,
Yes.
which is an amazing school. But as a writer, what's it like? What do you do? What are your days made up of as an author?
Now, I still try to stick to 30 hours a week of writing.
Wow.
Because I think it's important that you keep in a regular pattern. Now, that may not be the 9 to 5, because I write best at night when the world is quiet. But I think it is a lot easier to stay in a pattern and to regulate yourself and get down to it.
Where did Lily come from? Where has her story come from? What motivated you to write that? Is it a true story, a true person?
No. Rose and Lily and Daisy, they were actually going to be 3 sisters when I started planning these books out, probably a good 5 years ago, and then I changed them. It is set in Western Australia, down, it's called Lakeston, which is a fictitious town, but it's basically the Pinjarra region.
South of the river.
Yes, south of the river, but that's all right. We still like them.
Southwest, we call it.
Yes, yes.
So you based it on a real... So why Pinjarra, can I ask?
Because I grew up in Kelmscott, Armidale, and Pinjarra was, and I grew up in the
Next step.
60s, where it was, you know, a part of, we're all farming communities, basically. And I know the area well. And it was where, in the 60s, they had a lot of hobby farms. That was when 5 or 10 acres were given out. And this is where the books are set, because they are a grandmother, mother and 2 daughters. So it's 4 women
Generations, yeah.
over 3 generations in the one family.
Talk to us about the storyline. Don't give us the
Right.
whole story, but tell us
I won't.
the main gist of what the story is about.
Right, and this is really point, because Rose is a widow, a war widow. She was only in her early 30s, and her 2 children, 2 daughters, 6 and 8, when her Air Force pilot husband went missing in action during the Afghan war. And so she came back to live with her mother in her home, in her original
town.
home.
Yep.
And it was at her 50th birthday, she was given a cruise from family and friends as her gift. And she went on the cruise, where she met not 1, but 2 men. She literally fell into the arms of the captain at one incident, and there was another passenger who had lost his memory before about 18 years previously, but he felt there was a connection to Rose and to his past history, and she felt this connection with him as well.
So do you follow that journey in the book?
We follow that journey along with the 2 of them.
Let's go through. Rose is the mother.
Rose is the second generation.
Mother, yeah. Lily,
Lily is the grandmother.
the grandmother.
And first generation, and the 2 daughters are Daisy,
Yep.
and the 4th book, which I've just written, A Poppy in the Meadow.
And that's coming up very
That'll
soon.
be out next year.
So are you enjoying being an author?
I love it. It is a dream come true. I write regular blogs that are going up on my new website.
Yes.
And I'm also looking forward to doing some online, so there'll be online writing courses, both for children and adults. Not how to be an author, but for those who would like to write and want
Giving
some...
people some sort of optimism and encouragement,
Exactly.
aren't you?
Yeah.
Maybe even as a mentor as well for those people
And that's
who've
what
got
I'd like
that
to do.
skill or
Yes.
the creativity to write a book. Now, I'm going to hold up the book so people know. This one here is the new one.
Yes, it is.
It's called A Rose in the Garden, folks. That is the new book that we're promoting today, which I'm holding up. The other 2 books, let's go through it. The first one was
A Daisy in the Field.
that one there. And you can see that on screen. I'll take my hand away. There you go there. That one's available right now as well.
Yes.
And the other one is the first book.
The second book.
Oh, sorry,
That-
the second.
sorry, yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that was your first,
First,
that's the second.
second.
Doesn't matter, just buy all 3 of them. We'd
Exactly.
love you to buy 3. And the last one that's coming up very soon is called?
A Poppy in the Meadow.
Sounds fantastic. From here, where is Annie going?
I have already written the basis of my first children's book. I have 3 grandchildren and they all wanted a book.
Yep.
So I have written the youngest granddaughter's book for sort of 6 and 7-year-olds, and I've started on both the 12-year-old granddaughter and the 10-year-old grandson's book.
People can get these books from your website, which is on
Yes,
screen. Tell us the
correct.
website address.
The website is www.anniechandlercummings.com.
We'd love you to get the books. Mother's Day's coming up very soon.
Yes.
They would make a fantastic trilogy, or we might even get the 4th one out before Mother's Day. When's that one coming?
No, it'll be next year.
There you
It's
go. Bad
literally
luck.
just on my pen.
Go for the 3. They're out there, and they are fantastic books. You
Thank
do an
you.
amazing job, Annie. I love promoting you. You're local. You're West Australian, and you write some amazing books. And keep
you.
up the good work.
Thank you very much, Fred. It's
And-
lovely to be here.
Always welcome. Please support Annie by going to her website and getting those books. If you missed any of those details, they will be on our website, thecouch.com.au. We'll be back with Paul Elwyn talking streaming right after this break. See you soon. Welcome back to the couch. Nice to have you accompanied today. I hope you're enjoying your Sunday viewing with us. Paul Elwyn is back in the studio. Paul, welcome back.
Thanks, Fred.
How
Good to be
did you
back.
go for your 3 days of lockdown?
Well, with 3 days of lockdown, it just meant I watched a bit more television and movies and just hung out
That's
with
how
the fam.
you got all the greatest streaming, the top 7.
Yeah,
you
there's
do it when you're in
heaps.
lockdown.
There's so much stuff like streaming on all of the
Do
platforms.
you know what? There's more in streaming than there are at the movies, I have to say.
It's kind of strange. Like the movies that are slowly coming out, there's some really good movies and titles coming out. But the whole thing is with streaming, there's always the good, good old faithful shows that you're familiar with. But also there's new stuff, and then there's also ones now that I'm going to cover that are actual like whole shows that are just finishing up this year now.
Correct.
They've decided to finish
Do you know,
up.
I've noticed with the 7 or 8 streaming companies that we've got, Stan and Disney and,
Binge, Amazon,
all those
all of
ones,
that, yeah.
they've all got similar movies. I don't know how they do it, because some of them have the same, and they're on a few of the
Kind of
platforms.
strange, but most of them have kind of ideas and shows that overlap.
Correct.
The weird one is for me is Disney Plus is actually the one for me that's actually a bit different because they're really like full on focused on like a lot of the kids, and they have a few really good shows. But
And if you've got kids, it makes sense to get
that's
that.
the number one.
And it's not
one
that
the parents
expensive,
go to.
isn't it? About $6 or $7 a month.
Most of these are only
They
about
are
that much
cheap.
anyway. Yeah.
Well, let's get straight into it.
Yes,
We've got
definitely.
7 to talk about. Let's start
7,
with
and
Shameless.
a few of these are finishing up. So Shameless, this is on Netflix. This is season 11 of Shameless. This is following the infamous Gallagher family. They're completely dysfunctional. The dad is he's the weirdest guy. He's a drug addict father, but he's always there. He's always there, just bothering them and doing
I
something.
recognise that face. He's
Yes.
been in a lot of television movies.
Yes, William H. Macy. He's a very familiar face, and he sort of helps carry most of this show as well. But the thing is, with this one, it's finishing up season 11, and the cool thing about this is, you'd think like a lot of shows aren't really touching on the whole COVID situation. This one dives straight
Is it
into
really?
it.
See, a lot of it have avoided it. Even
They're,
Neighbours.
they're full on, like every character is dealing with it in some sort of way, but also how they're dealing
How good
with
is that?
other people in Chicago. So this is the last season of Shameless on Netflix.
You'll catch it on Netflix.
Yes.
The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
All your
on
Disney Plus, Marvel fans, comic fans, you might have thought that WandaVision was a little bit surreal, and you want to get back into the action that you were familiar with the Winter Soldier and Captain America kind of movies. Well, we got the Falcon, and the Winter Soldier is an actual TV series on Disney Plus. You can watch the whole thing right now, all 6 episodes. We got the Falcon, Sam Wilson. We got Bucky Barnes, who is the Winter Soldier. We also have the amazing actor Wyatt Russell, who's playing John Walker, aka US Agent, who is technically a government fill-in for Captain America, but he's not really the same kind of guy. But yeah, it's a lot of intrigue and quite a lot of action in that, in the
little
whole
bit
6
darker
episodes.
than Captain
Yeah,
America.
smidge darker, a bit more serious, but anyone that loved all the Captain America type Marvel movies will love this series. It's great.
Now, the
Yeah.
next one on Stan is called Younger.
Younger. So what happens in Younger is this is another one. The final season 7, is currently on. I think it's roughly halfway through. So in the next few weeks, it'll probably be wrapped up. What happens is our main character is written by Darren Star of Sex and the City fame.
Okay.
So you can tell like it's already got a good caliber of writing. Our main character in Younger, she's 40, but she gets mistaken for someone in their late 20s, and she rides with it. She just goes with it and goes, look, this is actually an opportunity for me to restart my whole career. career, my whole life and everything. So in Younger, this is following like how she meanders through her sort of
Is she in her
newfound career.
20s in real life or not?
I don't know.
Don't
She,
think
yeah,
so.
the whole thing, like she looks, this age but looks younger, and
I'd watch it just for that reason.
Yeah,
Just to
but it's
show me how to look younger.
the usual Darren Star thing. And this, my wife loves this show.
Yeah.
It's very interesting characters, and this lady trying to do her thing as well.
So that
that's
one there
Younger.
is called Younger. It's
On
on
Stan.
Stan.
Yeah.
Home Economics on Stan as well. This
Yes.
is not about learning how to cook, is it?
No, far from it. What it is, if anyone remembers that 70s show, Topher Grace,
Yes.
this is the current series that he's in. This is about essentially 3 siblings, and he's the middle one. And he's the middle one in more ways than not. He's actually the middle one in actual economics. His financial situation is sort of the middle ground. He's a not a very good book writer, so he's decided, wait, I'm going to write about myself and my family. His younger sister, she's not doing so well. She's on the poor end of society. His brother has made like millions of dollars, and he's on the higher end and always helping him out. So screw it, he's going to write all about these people in his family and take everything apart. And is this going to be a good idea or a bad idea? And he'll just go with it. And this is sort of his
Economics.
adventure, yeah.
And is this a 6-part or more than that?
This one's currently, I think it's a 6-part series, but then,
There's more than one
yeah,
series.
there'll be more series. This is the
Fantastic.
first series out, though.
Okay,
on
Home
Stan.
Economics out on Stan.
Yes.
Follow that one. Now, this one here has been talked about all week
This
on
is
all
a
the
huge
different
one.
TV
This is
and radio
HBO's
shows.
next big thing. So you get to watch, if it's on HBO, you get to watch it on Binge in Australia.
Yep.
So we got huge acting caliber. We've got Kate Winslet in this one, the mayor of Easttown. Easttown is a place in Pennsylvania.
Now, I did hear how they got the name. Mayor is her first name.
That's her
isn't
name,
it?
yeah. Her name's Mayor Shannon, and we've also got Australian Guy Pearce in this one.
That's right.
And the whole thing is she's a detective, she's investigating a murder, but the main essence of it is also her life is starting to fall apart. So is she going to try and get a handle on this as well as try and work out this case?
This is going to be big because everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
Have you watched it yourself?
Yeah, the first episode.
like it?
Yeah, the amazing thing?
Yeah.
Kate Winslet was in The Dressmaker with an Aussie accent and was flawless.
Yeah.
This one, she has like an exact American, like Pennsylvanian type accent in this, and it's
does it well.
it's amazing. You
There
just
you go. You got to watch this one. Mayor
Yes,
of Easttown.
Mayor of Easttown, yeah.
On Binge, on the
Binge.
Foxtel platform.
Yeah.
Frank of Ireland on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. This one's a comedy. You might see these familiar faces if you're a Harry Potter fan, I guess. We've got Bernie and Donald Gleeson. Donald Gleeson, if you're a Star Wars fan, you might recognise him as Hux. Yeah, they're brothers, but
He's a hot mess too, by the way.
he's a complete mess. Yeah, a 34-year-old Irish lad in Dublin. And the actual actors are from Dublin originally, so he's sort of relating it to his life. He's a complete mess. Everyone's trying to help him, but they're also trying to say, look, get on your feet and, sort
A bit
yourself
of a
out.
comedy with this one?
This one's a complete comedy. Lots of beautiful Irish accents in this one, and lots of beautiful Irish countryside in this one.
And a bit of romance, by the way.
Heaps of humour, really oddball kind of romance and brotherly love, sort of
Yes.
people trying to
All
give this
that's
guy a
missing
kick in the
is
pants.
Mrs. Brown.
Yes, so the whole season of this is on Amazon Prime as well.
Fantastic.
Frank of Ireland.
Yep.
Yes.
The Mighty Duck game changer. Now I remember the Mucky Duck Bush Band, but I
No,
don't think
no,
it's got
this is
anything
different.
to do with the
Quack,
Mighty
quack,
Ducks.
quack. This is the Mighty Ducks. Similar, like the Karate Kid,
Yes.
Cobra Kai thing, where we just take
Oh.
an old franchise and write it again. But this one isn't anywhere near as dramatic. But this one is sort of a bit more lighthearted. So you're familiar, the Mighty Ducks champions back in the 90s, Emilio Estevez, he's back on this TV series, and we've taken care of 10, 20 years past this, and he's still a fledgling kind of coach, part skate park owner.
And I tell you what, he
Ice
still looks
skater.
good for his age.
Yeah, he's looked after himself.
I tell you
So
what.
some of these actors,
money
you don't
makes-
hear from them, and then you see them again, and then you go, "What? They've
It's
been
like
working
they
out."
recorded this 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's
didn't
like they
release it.
froze them and then defrosted them just for this sort
Where
of series.
are we going wrong? So good show.
Yeah, this one's on Disney Plus, and it's sort of it's every week new episodes, and we've got our favourite Gilmore Girl mum, Lauren Graham, is also playing pretty much the same mum in this one. But Emilio Estevez is in this, and it's a whole bunch of new kids learning how to become great ice hockey players. And yeah, it's the Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
We've got about a minute, Paul.
Yes.
Tell me what you're watching. What's Paul's favourite streaming show?
The favourite streaming show at the moment. Oh my gosh, there's so many.
Because I know you've got your kids as well, so they influence a bit of what you watch.
Yeah, that's true. For me, it's mainly been it's mostly been like the Disney Plus stuff.
You like the Disney Plus.
The funny thing is, on Disney Plus, they've resurrected all of the old Star Wars cartoons, and I've been watching like the Ewok stuff.
And you love all
it's
that
just
stuff.
It's just funny, and then the kids can watch that with me, and they think it's that looks a bit dated, but I think it's kind of funny. Yeah.
Lots happening on your streaming devices. Check out the websites for them. They're all really affordable, about between $5 and $10 a month.
And definitely try to have like a trial for a week or two as well.
Yeah, some of them
which
give
is
you
fun.
3 months, Paul. And
Yes.
one more question for you. Have you heard about the Lost in Space, the number 3 series? Is that coming back soon?
No, nothing as yet.
Nothing
It's
as-
kind
it's
of
kept
in a
quiet,
weird
isn't it?
limbo at the moment. So knowing Netflix, it'll come from out of nowhere.
Well, there you go. And don't forget, you can actually watch Wentworth, the series, Australian series made by Foxtel. You can watch that on Netflix as well, which is wonderful, or the ABC if you want. Thank you to Paul. You're talking movies
Thanks,
in a
Fred.
couple of weeks, I think.
Yes, indeed.
So
yeah.
we'll see you then. That's Paul Elwyn talking Top 7 streaming. We're going to take a break on the couch because coming up after that, oh no, he's back, Chris Ilsley, and letting Jen maybe have a word or two in Bitchin' after the break. Welcome back to the couch. Nice to have your company. It's time for that segment we all love. Chris especially loves it. It's called Bitchin'. And let me welcome our two bitches for today's show.
Where's Ted?
Ted is not here. He's gone to Rotto.
Excuse me a second.
He's gone
Ted!
to... No,
Ted!
you're actually sitting
on
on
the
him,
boat.
Jen. Jen's sitting on him. He's very quiet,
I'm enjoying
subdued.
this spot.
It's very
Ted,
comfortable,
it
isn't
is.
it?
Quiet and subdued.
You never
now
know-
we know he's not here.
You never know what might pop up while you sit there, Jen. Not that I hold too much hope, but can I just say he's actually in
It's a
Rotto.
thing called
He's
ambition
having a
and
break.
ability, Fred.
Welcome to Chris Ilsley from 1086IX, can I say?
And the Chris
officially?
Ilsley Project, yes indeed.
Sunday
nice to be
nights. Sunday nights from 6 to
o'clock.
12.
6ix.net.au is the website.
Well done. Congratulations. Will you be playing music and having a bit of
Indeed.
chattel?
Lots of it from the 60s, 70s and 80s.
Oh, and
Bit of
today's best.
groove
That is,
music.
of course, what are they? What's their motto?
Forever classic.
6IX, 1057 FM, by the way. And thank you very much. Congratulations for that. Jen, are you doing any radio? Apart from 6PR?
No,
Maybe
not
Channel
really.
9?
No, I've got
I
enough
saw
to
you
do.
on Channel 9 a couple of times, you know.
Oh, thank
calling
you.
Mon. It's like we're the best of friends. Mon.
I've known her for years.
I know, yeah, I could tell. Mon.
Yeah. Well, you know, Monica has come down to Have a Go Day for 15 years and
Well,
served teas and coffees.
You've just given away her age.
I have not given away her age.
How old was she again? No, look, Monica Koss, lovely, part of the Nine Network.
But funny how you
Wonderful
can
lady.
work out someone's age, though, isn't it?
Well, that's
and when
it.
you do, they hate it.
Correct.
Well, you can work out my age because I'm entitled to an
42.
AstraZeneca.
I've already had mine. It's too late. And I must be over 50. Chris has it because he's under 50, of course.
I'm under 50.
Yeah.
You'll have the Pfizer.
In my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in reality.
All right, well, let's get straight on to it. What are the story? Let's talk about your first story. Jen.
Okay, well,
Ladies first.
talking about AstraZeneca, I wanted to talk about vaccines because I think lots of people are really nervous
They're
about
scared
having.
and misguided.
Yeah,
They're not trusting the PM.
They're not trusting the medical people and also the Therapeutic
Why would
Goods
they
Association.
believe them when they could believe their best mate on Facebook?
True,
Yeah, true.
true. And,
And by
you
the way,
know,
I'm not being cynical when I say that. That's what's happening. Oh, my best mate told, and his qualifications are, well, he's a good bloke.
yeah,
I'm sure
and he's
he
on
is.
Facebook.
Do you know what I've been telling people on Talkback Radio, people that we have that are older
Yes.
than the 50 and 60? I say to them, check with your doctor. Your doctor is the best person to advise you. And I said, if you're not planning on travelling, if you're not planning on going anywhere, there's no rush. You make up your own mind and do it when you feel comfortable.
And look, I think from the outbreak that Western Australia's just recently had, it really does show that having a vaccine
Yep.
is a good idea.
Correct.
And I must say, I have felt a little bit anxious about having the AstraZeneca.
Oh, because of the blood clot.
Have you
Because
had
of the
it,
blood
Jen?
clots.
Have you had it yet?
No,
Or you
I
haven't
haven't.
got
No, it's not.
any health
it's
issues?
just No, I haven't got any health issues, and it's only coming up to
See, I had
us.
it. It's been over a month.
Yes.
And I've been okay, if you call this okay. But no, look, this is
Are you
normal.
fine, Fred?
There's no problem. Hey, where's that leg gone? I can't feel my leg. I shouldn't joke about it. Just people have been quite ill. But can I say I've had no effect whatsoever.
And did you have any side effects?
None at all.
None at all. Well,
I was there for about 15 minutes. I had a couple of biscuits and had a couple more just in
well,
case I was
interesting.
sick.
I've had a couple of my volunteers at the paper
Yep.
who've had it and were quite unwell with side effects from their first AstraZeneca. No blood clots.
Define unwell.
One of them actually ended up in emergency, and she felt like she had lockjaw. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, so they ended up giving her a drip and giving her Panadol. So. And she's actually a retired nurse, and she said to me, I would recommend everybody take some Panadol before they have
Correct.
it.
Maybe that's
yeah.
good advice.
Maybe that's sound advice, you know.
Look, I think it is up to that we've only had, 4 or 5 cases in Australia. I don't think there's been more than that. But all of
Everything
those cases
has
have
side
survived.
effects.
Have we had one death?
We've had one death.
One death. But
yes.
that person had other issues.
And they
Yeah.
were aged, as I recall.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well,
in the 80s.
the other thing is, if you actually look at the statistics, if you're on any other medication, you've got just as much chance of having
Well,
a blood
the
clot.
Have
fertility
you ever
drug.
had a look, if you get a prescription, just you go to the doctor, you're feeling crook, I don't know, it's strep throat.
Yep.
And he gives you some antibiotics. And you take the antibiotics and there's a little pamphlet in there that nobody ever reads. Right? Nerd here read one once. And seriously, if you took everything that was written there to heart, you'd say, I'm going to take my chances with the strep throat.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you look at this,
You
the
take
chances are, seizures,
Yep.
blood clots, brains. There was one that said
Yeah.
brainstorms. And I'm like, brainstorms? Well, it's a risk.
You're
It's a
right.
1 in
You're right.
X number of million risk. Now, you then look at it and say, well, okay, if I said to you, here is this life-saving operation, right? Imagine that I am actually competent Dr. Chris and I'm about to carve you up
Yep.
like a turkey at Christmas time. And I say to you, Fred, you have a 1 in 100,000 chance that this could go pear-shaped, right? But if you don't have the operation, mate, you're going to cark it.
Correct.
Which choice are you going to take?
Well, I'd have the operation because I tell you why. I take a few drugs for diabetes.
you take
immunity-
medications.
Yeah.
Drugs have got connotations, mate.
Legal tablets. So can I just say to you that a lot of those drugs I take for the diabetes will say next to them may cause kidney failure.
Yes.
So you think to yourself, if I don't take it, will I get a heart attack? So you sometimes have got to make decisions.
Heart attack and kidney failure.
Yeah,
Geez, they're
you
giving you
can
a real
do.
choice
can
here,
do.
aren't they?
Look,
Yeah.
I've been given some tablets for cholesterol because my cholesterol being overweight,
Yeah.
there's a risk. My blood pressure's okay, but if I don't take these cholesterol tablets because of my weight and my diabetes,
Your blood pressure
you
will go
could-
sky high.
Correct.
Yeah.
I could get a heart attack. So I make judgments best on what I want out of life. And I make them with my doctor, and sometimes I go against my doctor. But then I've been informed. And I think that's the thing, Jen, with the AstraZeneca, TGA, Therapeutic Goods Association, has told everybody it is still safe to have the injection. Even if you're under 50, they're now saying, see your doctor. If your doctor says you can take it, there's no risk.
Yeah.
Because most of the people that take even under 50-year-olds, it is safe. It's just to eliminate those blood clots.
And look, the reality is, if you think about it, we wouldn't hear about people having blood clots in everyday world pre-COVID.
No.
You wouldn't have a news report about a blood clot happening from
From a medication somebody
Yes.
received.
Yeah.
But you know what it is, especially with the vaccinations, there's all these people jumping on the internet, right, believing nonsense. And seriously, some of the people, with some of the garbage they write,
Yes.
there are some seriously loose units out there. I'm talking serious.
Serious.
I mean, there are people who really need to have the bolts tightened down
I'll
again.
give you an example. On Talkback Radio, we've got a couple of people that will ring up and rally in the streets. They're anti-vaxxers. And then I asked them, I said, would you have the vaccine? They said, yes. So why are you rallying out there? There's people, I call them cancel culture people.
Yep.
Everything today, it's very popular to cancel it and say no to everything. And you've got to eliminate these people from society because it's become
Maybe we
so
should stop them
popular
from
to just
breeding.
say no to everything.
Their
Yes.
stupidity
So-
may well be passed on to
So,
subsequent
and
generations.
do you have a flu shot every year?
No, I don't have, never have.
I have a flu shot every
Yeah,
year.
me too.
Yeah.
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 Sounds
So,
good. Chris, can we move on to you and then we'll come back to you for... Did you have
Yeah.
a second story, Jen?
Just talking about some of the development of vaccines
Yeah.
in
Let's
the
see how we
While
go.
we're talking about that, for those outside of Western Australia, our Premier is worshipped like some cult figure. Right, just to give you a picture, how rational are people being about it?
80 to 88%.
I've got to say, if Mark McGowan said you are required to hand over your firstborn, unlike Herod, people would do it willingly. And this is where we're at. So we've now got people who are tattooing pictures of Mark McGowan, right? There's a woman called Taylor Boyce. She's got him tattooed on a leg. I'm sort of going to
wonder.
Can
we hold up the picture? Maybe if you hold up the picture to camera 2, which is...
actually, that's a better picture.
Hold that up to the camera. So there you go. There's
it's
the
not a bad likeness, really.
No, it's not a
but
bad
he looks about 10 years younger.
Actually, if you hold that in front of your face, it looks really good too. Wow, you've become this
you
Mr.
can put him
80%.
on a stick.
Yes.
And then scare people or drop it there.
The prospect of me running the state would be positively terrifying.
We'll probably get things done.
But
Be interesting.
I think this...
Would you do it? Would
No,
you do it, Jen?
it's,
Would you
but
put
it's
a
crazy.
tattoo?
Think about
I
it.
wouldn't have a tattoo anyway.
At some time he's going to leave office. I mean, look, I'm not a fan of tattoos, but if you were the biggest fan of tattoos, I would think that you would pick a tattoo that's going to last.
A flower, a poppy.
Yeah, but it's like somebody, I don't know, I saw this girl and she had a rather ample bosom and a low-cut top, and she had what looked like a budgie tattooed on her right boob, quite prominently, and I suspect that's one of the reasons why she was showing off her rather ample bosom. And funnily enough, there were two things that happened. Firstly, I said to my mate, you know, when she's our age, that budgie is going to look more like an ostrich. And she said, yep. And then and then he said to me, aren't you glad you're not going to be around in 50 years' time? And I said, why is that? He said, well, you and I are going to miss the delightful sight of 80-year-old ladies with piercings and 50-year-old tattoos.
Well, I think, can I ask you wouldn't have a tattoo at all? I wouldn't have one of the Premier. Chris, would you have one of the Premier on you?
No.
No.
But you see, and the thing is, I don't know, what's the point? What's going to happen when he goes from hero to zero? I'm telling you, it will happen. You know what happened to Bob Hawke.
I'm going to ask
and
you
he was
a
an
couple of
extremely
questions.
popular prime
While
minister.
we're talking about the Premier, I've had a couple of questions on Talkback. A lot of people think here in WA that because he's so popular, he could run for Prime Minister and win. I've said no because nobody over East
knows him. And they think he's a wally because he's from Western Australia and he's pressing the Western Australian point of view.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
good.
I don't think he's got any ambition to be
But even if he has,
the Prime Minister.
there is a thing called delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
And the reason why that comes about is simply because what he does that makes him so popular in Western Australia has the reverse effect in the eastern states.
And I don't think he would have been as popular as he is without the pandemic.
No, because what would have happened is people might have actually focused on some of the government's shortcomings. Like the WA health system is not in good condition.
No.
Well, let's talk about
the
that.
former local government minister's absolute botch of the local government portfolio. That's something else that needs question.
Quick question before we wrap it up. Talking about lockdown that we've just had last week here in WA, 3 days, and it may be continued, but let's just say, do you guys agree with the Premier's way of handling it? Now, he did it on a Friday afternoon.
Yes.
The rugby went ahead, the basketball went ahead, and then, of course, the Anzac Day.
And you're forgetting
was
something
cancelled,
else, Fred.
And the footy was...
It was prior to a long weekend.
Correct.
And it didn't stop everybody making their sojourn down
But did
south
you see
to
he
Busselton.
caught them the next day and said, those people who have gone down south, you do also have to...
Oh, yes, and
close
everyone
them.
paid attention.
Really
What
mixed,
did you think?
Well, I thought there was really mixed messages, particularly for the people who were heading down south. I mean,
And north, they all got told.
and north
they
as well.
They thought escape before midnight.
Yes,
Which they did.
and they did, and
I don't blame
That was
them.
because the Commissioner of Police said, if you're going down south, drive carefully and make sure you wear your mask.
yeah, there was nothing
And then
about
the next day-
having to isolate.
You know what they should have done? They should have used their brains and said, OK, for better or worse, we've decided to have a 3-day lockdown. Nobody can leave town. And at that point,
Correct.
the Commissioner should have stood up and said, roadblocks have just been put in place.
Yeah, look,
they should have organised them.
here's it-
And
yeah.
then the moment they made the announcement, they go, right, the
I think
roadblocks are now in
The fact
place.
they cancelled Anzac Day, which is one of the most important days in our history.
Yes, that's why I'm
I
still
think
wearing my poppy.
That was a shame. I think when you can allow football and basketball to carry on and say to Australian people, I didn't have time to cancel it, but you could cancel something that was planned years ago.
Absolutely.
That happens every year on the 25th day.
Fred,
it's wrong.
taking the lockdown out of the equation, They were still only going to allow 10,000 people to the dawn service at Kings Park, but they were going to allow 60,000 people in
footy.
Optus Stadium.
It's
And they're
crazy.
saying, they're
It's
sitting in
crazy.
chairs at Optus Stadium. You
Yeah.
ever seen what happens at Optus Stadium when people are leaving after
know.
the
They
game?
rush
It's-
into each other.
yeah.
They sit on top of each other. They
Yeah.
yell. They
And look at
scream.
how they are on the train.
Exactly. There's, it's
Chris
there's a
Silsley.
lot of mixed messages.
Thank you very much. 6IX Sundays from 6 to 12.
Yes,
The Chris Silsley Project.
indeed.
1080 6IX, 6ix.com.au. Listen to it online or on your app as well. Jen Merrigan, haveagonews.com.au.
Yes.
A new edition coming out soon.
Absolutely.
And as always, a great read.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to both of our guests today. That is
Thank
Bitchin'
you,
for
Fred.
another week. We'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks' time. We'll take a break.
2 out of
Daniele.
3 ain't bad.
Yeah, I get you.
Ted.
We may not get Ted back. We have more time. We'll be back with Daniele Fottecazzola and our very own Nisha next after the break. Well done.
Connect with The Couch online through Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Welcome back to The Couch. Nice to be with you this afternoon. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. We have got Daniele Fottecazzola back again, and with him is Nisha, and they're talking about what's on Perth. Many opera events coming up. Over to you, Nisha.
Wonderful. Thank you, Fred. And it's so lovely to be on the couch with Daniele. Hello.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
So we're going to have just a bit of a chit-chat about what's on in Perth.
Yeah.
Particularly, we know that our masks aren't on now, but that's all legal and legitimate here in the studio outside. What's on in Perth?
Yeah, well, it's been a bit of a week, so hopefully a lot of these events still get to go ahead. But coming up, we've got Opera in Merredin. So West Australian Opera is part of a regional program with Minderoo. They're bringing opera to new audiences in the regions. So last night was meant to be the first concert, which was meant to be in Mandurah, the Nightingale. But hopefully, God willing, in Merredin, so this is the first time WAYO have gone to Merredin. It's going to be at the Commons Theatre, which is one of the oldest theatres in Western Australia. And I think it's a great concert as well. If you're not familiar with the art form and you haven't been to opera before, it's an opportunity to just hear some classic operatic hits, but there's also some contemporary music, a bit of Fleetwood Mac, a bit of musical theatre, and you'll be surprised, I think, if you go and you're like, oh, actually, like I am familiar with this song, or opera isn't as, old school as I thought.
Yeah, and it's so important to bring art into the regions, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Spread the
It's new
culture.
audiences, and even with certain projects like something like the Nightingale that would have used the young chorus, so like children from that area, which is a bit unfortunate, but but you never know. So
might reinvigorate at a later date.
and you never know who's watching as well. It might inspire someone from a region that hasn't seen opera before to want to pursue that. So, and there's an all-star cast. We've got Rachel Dirk and Fiona Campbell. So that is happening. And also speaking of young artists in opera, WAYO have partnered with UWA on Elijah. So it's a retelling of the biblical story of Elijah at Winthrop Hall.
It's a beautiful location.
Yeah,
there.
and it's going to be quite an immersive opera. So there's 150 students involved. So I think that would be really powerful, hearing all those voices and kind of like a choral. So that's happening again. There's a great cast there: Paul O'Neill and Chelsea Kluger. And and if opera isn't necessarily something you've done before, there's plenty of other musical events happening. God willing, we've been really lucky to have local artists
so
perform.
lucky, aren't we?
But there's a few national shows that are meant to be touring. So in June, we've got Chess the Musical, which is coming. So that's actually written by two of the singers from ABBA, and also with lyrics by Tim Rice. So Tim Rice, he's pretty much written our childhoods. He wrote the music for The Lion King, and he wrote some of the music for the live-action Aladdin. So that's going to be at the Perth Concert Hall June 3rd to 5th. And that's
something to look forward to.
Yeah, and it's got a great cast. It's got Natalie Bassingthwaite, Gold Logie nominee. She was from Neighbours, X Factor, and had a musical solo career as well. The Rogue Traders, she's one of the lead characters. There's also Paulini and Rob Mills, who are from Australian Idol. Alexander Lewis, Mark Furr. So it's a great all-star cast, and it's a bit of a love triangle between two chess players and the central lead played by Nat. So.
And Daniele knows a lot about the opera because you do some work with him, don't you?
Yeah.
So it's all. Cooking?
Yeah, we did some cooking with opera, so that's great. And I think shows like this are great. Also, idea for Mother's Day, a Mother's Day present.
Yes. Have you organised your Mother's Day present yet?
No, not yet. But between these shows, otherwise there's also some great, hopefully we'll be able to dine out for Mother's Day. There's lots of great restaurant offerings, but some restaurants have jumped on early and are doing some take-home pack offerings. So cafes like Mary Street Bakery and Holly Ray's, they've got some breakfast at-home options. Garum in the West End, they've got a great garum a casa range. So if you want to trick mum, make her think that you've prepped the whole Italian feast yourself.
So you could pack it all into your own picnic basket. And
this one is a cooking, the garum a casa is a cooking thing. So you get all your, like your pasta dishes or your lamb or your gnocchi alla romana, and it comes with all the ingredients and the recipe, everything in a pack, easy to follow. It only takes a few minutes to prep.
So you cook. Wow.
So you cook it.
So you actually do. You're not lying.
So you're not lying.
Cooking.
You haven't prepped it. It's taken the hours of prep out. It's no need to make the pasta.
I have to say, I've done the other way, where I've actually bought all the nice food and put it
in a plate.
It was a few years ago.
Just put a bit of flour on your apron and stuff, and be like, oh.
That dinner we had last week.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
It's my interview for the cooking segment.
Yes, I know. Nisha. She's a wonderful cook. I tell you, she cooks just like the restaurant across the road.
Hey, there you go.
I do cook though. I do.
Any prospective husbands out there? She's not that expensive. She goes to good takeaway places. Daniele, you do a lot of cooking. I saw you doing a video to. What was that all about? What are you working on at the moment?
That was part of a Brookfield project, Rossini's Perfect Pairing.
Are we allowed to talk about it, or
No, it's fun. I mean, hopefully it's all happening. But there's just a progressive dinner at Brookfield, kind of like done to the music of Rossini. Specially curated menu items. So hopefully that's all happening.
Do you need an assistant cook?
I'm not cooking at that one. I'm just talking.
That's your excuse
So I'm doing a Nisha. Like, I'm hosting a dinner, but I'm not cooking.
Please, I don't want everyone to think I do that all the time.
Takeaway places, give her your phone number. She'll promote you. Daniele, is there anything else? I know you just want to quickly touch on the Spanish Film Festival.
The movies. Yeah, so Spanish Film Festival, that's starting soon. So lots of great Spanish hit films from the past year.
Palace Cinema is where you
Palace
need to watch.
Cinema, and it's great, especially if you're got those no holiday blues. It's nice to be
There's a lot of things happening here in Perth. We're very lucky in WA. One, the arts is doing really well. Two, the culture, all the different shows that we're having, these cooking opera specials that you're doing as well.
And we had
Nisha,
Susie Warner on last
we did,
last week, and so there's a Revelation Film Festival as well. So
lots happening.
Something for everyone.
Daniele, what's your website if people want more information?
DanieleForicuzzola.com.
And I think it's
one. And it's on there, because probably a little
right now. There it is.
Bit hard to spell. There you go.
There you go. Thank you. What's on Perth? Thank you, Nisha. That is the end of the show. Can I do a little bit of time to say goodbye?
Fred's auditioning. We'll have you for the next opera,
that was
Fred.
very good.
Well, the right size for the opera. Time to say goodbye. It is time for us to say bye. Thank you to Daniele. Thank you to Nisha. Thanks to all our wonderful crew that worked today. Sonia on floor managing, Alec on camera. We've got Josh on camera, and we've also got Petrian on camera. Our control room, of course, made up of our sound guy, Arif. Thank you very much to Michael, our DA, and Adrian, our director. Thanks to all the team. And can we say Barbara as well? She probably can't hear us because she can't hear us. But Barbara as well, thank you for all your help. And thank you to Rocky, who's in isolation. Yippee! Let's all clap for Rocky. He's not here. Yeah, thank you. We don't miss you, Rocky. Thank you to everybody for being part of the show. Have a wonderful week. We'll leave you with a great local artist, Whiskey Jack. His song is called The Golden State. Until next week, keep smiling. Bye for now, Australia.
Well, I'm not surprised that the wind took your eyes, and fleeting was more than a moment. Wind of you washes by like a wave in the tide, on a road that you know, 'cause you drove it. On a road that you know, 'cause you drove it. We were lulled by the motion, daydreaming of the ocean. We're headed just to float away, running in the red though. That being said, there's some signs just up ahead. So we cruise for the drift. These days are a gift, like the colours she grew in her garden, and all the time we spent just filling our heads with tunes and the tales of the tossed kind. Well, my goddamn van is broken down again. Thumb to the side as the rest passes by. We flip a dime just to pass the time. And with hopeful hands, hoping for the best. When nothing went right, we went left. Running in the red, though that being said, there's some signs just up ahead. We checked the map, the mountains, the range. The gas in our tank, there was dust in our way. We're drifting through this golden state. The sun's going down and I don't wanna be late. Well, I'm not surprised that the wind took your eyes, and fleeting was more than a moment. When the view washes by like a wave in the tide, on a road that you know, 'cause you drove it. On a road that you know, 'cause you drove it. On a road that you know, 'cause you drove it.